The $28 million scandal involving Kawhi Leonard has sent shockwaves through the entire NBA, with reactions becoming increasingly extreme. From Jeff Teague likening the controversy to the Joe Smith debacle.
Now the NBA is tapped into what's going on with the Clippers, man. They're making sure it wasn't no funny business. Last time the deal on the table got done, man, your guy, Joe Smith.
To Ballmer, who denied any involvement.
Had no control. Heck, it was a fraudulent company. It's possible nobody had any control.
We are dismantling all of them. Beginning with, we will analyze every response, starting with Jeff Teague. The initial bomb was dropped by someone who genuinely understands the experience of being in that Clippers locker room. And Jeff Teague certainly had some things to say. The ex-NBA point guard who was with the Clippers in the 2020-21 season didn't hold back when Pablo Torre's explosive investigation aired on September 3, 2025. Teague hopped onto his Club 520 podcast quicker than Kawhi sits out games, and his remarks were utterly ruinous.
Oh, man, so basically, they said that, Kawhi got some money off the books, to pull up to L.A. They put the paperwork in all his companies on.
Now, it gets interesting. Teague wasn't merely hurling accusations about carelessly, as one might toss confetti at a victory parade. This guy had the inside information, since he was actually present when all this chaos was said to be happening. He highlighted that the accusations asserted Leonard obtained $28 million via his KL2 Aspire LLC for essentially doing nothing apart from remaining with the Clippers. And when I say nothing, I truly mean nothing. No promotions, no social media posts, and no tree planting ceremonies. Knicks.
In Toronto, they was like, we'll give you the world. You can have everything here. Ballmer just did it far away.
Teague's breakdown was exceptional. He linked Leonard's infamous load management practices to what he referred to as load managing endorsements. The man expressed it with such conviction that you could almost hear the mic drop through your speakers. Teague underscored that this was not merely a financial issue. It concerned the integrity of the entire salary cap system that maintains competitiveness in the league. But wait, there's additional content. Teague went beyond merely calling out the purported scheme. He adopted a thorough forensic accountant approach, dissecting the occurrence of Ballmer's $50 million investment just months prior to Leonard's deal. Teague stated that the timing was more suspect than a player insisting for 3 months that they are day-to-day. He drew parallels between the possible punishments and the notorious Joe Smith case from 2000, in which the Timberwolves were severely penalized with hefty fines and lost draft picks for several years.
Now the NBA is tapped into what's going on with the Clippers, man. They're making sure it wasn't no funny business. Last time the deal on the table got done, man, your guy, Joe Smith.
Teague's perspective was even more persuasive due to his personal link to the circumstances. This is a person who was part of the Clippers organization, witnessed Ballmer's way of working, and grasped the culture surrounding Leonard. When he remarks that something seems off, you can bet people will pay attention. However, if you believe that one ex-teammate's intense response was sufficient to ignite the basketball world, just wait until you learn about the profound quiet from another vital player who possesses greater knowledge of Leonard's secrets than anyone else. Patrick Beverley. At times, what a person leaves unsaid conveys as much information as what they express. And Patrick Beverley's utter lack of response regarding the Leonard allegations has been entirely clear. This is a player who was on the same team as Kawhi for 3 years, protected him during numerous load management disputes, and has always been open about expressing his views on all things related to basketball. However, after this shocking development worth $28 million occurred, Beverley became completely silent in the most suspicious manner. The only thing that was even slightly connected to this scandal was a resurfaced clip from Beverley's podcast, in which he shared a text message from Leonard that read,
"The league stinks right now. Views are low." I agree. They are waiting on the claw. I say, tell my boy Germ, I say, lock the... He said, I'm going to get right, I'm on the way. Silent assassin. That's my dog.
I hope he takes his time coming back.
This clip originated from November 2024, well before any allegations of fraud emerged. However, its reappearance during this scandal was impeccably timed, as it encapsulated Leonard's mentality about doing things his own way. In that same podcast, he goes,
Talked to Kawhi on the phone yesterday. He's healing up like a machine. Claw. That's my phone. Claw.
In other statements, he asserted that Kawhi was instrumental in making the Clippers a strong team.
Views are low. They missing Kawhi. I love it. And then I hit him with, hey, man, you know I'm the isolation king over here. Yeah, that's what's up. I was the isolation king in the best league in the world for 3 years in a row. Ha, 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 ha. Yeah, shout out to K, man. Godspeed. And he texts the way he laughs, he texts it that way. Like A-H-A-H-A-A-A-H-A.
However, in the wake of the allegations, Beverley's has not made any statements. His silence indicates that he is a person who has reliably supported Leonard amid all controversies. In the past, he has referred to Leonard as an elite and a machine, and he has always been quick to respond to critics who questioned Leonard's commitment or work ethic. His total avoidance of this topic indicates that he may either possess knowledge he cannot disclose or is receiving guidance to remain silent for legal reasons. The only tiny breach in Beverley's wall of silence occurred when he liked a tweet that criticized the Clippers for denying the allegations. The tweet questioned how the team could assert they had no oversight of Leonard's deal when Ballmer invested $50 million in the company. The timing of Beverley's silence is also noteworthy. At the moment, he is a free agent in search of a new team, and the last thing he likely wants is to become involved in a significant NBA investigation by publicly commenting on his former teammates' supposed salary cap violations. During active investigations, smart agents advise their clients to remain silent, particularly if there is a possibility of them being called as witnesses should the situation escalate. However, as ex-players either erupted with anger or maintained a suspicious silence, the league's influential figures were getting ready to issue their own theatrical reactions. Steve Ballmer. When the wealthiest owner in professional sports finally chooses to address a $28 million scandal publicly, you can be sure that people will take notice. Steve Ballmer's one-on-one interview.
We, the Clippers, have abided by the salary cap circumvention rules because that's the right thing to do. Was there an exception made in terms of our relationship with aspiration? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. This is a company that I got to know, frankly, through them approaching us about a sponsorship deal. My family and I were super keen to do work to stem climate change. We think that's an important thing. I had no control over this company. That is important, actually, under the salary cap rules. I owned less than 3% of the company. There were investors who put in a lot more money than I did.
When you reflect on it, Ballmer's defensive approach was actually quite shrewd. Rather than attempting to deny the occurrence of the Leonard deal or its suspicious appearance, he redirected all blame onto aspiration and portrayed himself as merely another victim of their complex fraud scheme. The man explicitly stated that he felt ashamed and somewhat foolish for not realizing that aspiration was a scam.
Had no control. Heck, it was a fraudulent company. It's possible nobody had any control.
But this is where Ballmer's story becomes truly intriguing. He supplied a detailed chronology of events that he asserts demonstrates there was no coordination between his investment and Leonard's deal. He stressed that Leonard's extension was signed in August 2021. The sponsorship agreement between the Clippers and Aspiration was revealed in September 2021. Leonard's first meeting with Aspiration occurred in November 2021, and the deal was finalized in April 2022. Ballmer's defense became even more persuasive when he acknowledged that the Clippers had deliberated on granting Aspiration naming rights for their new arena, but ultimately opted not to do so. This detail supports his assertion that he truly believed Aspiration was a legitimate company, as one would not put a fraudulent company's name on a billion-dollar arena. However, Ballmer's emotional reaction to the accusations was the most telling aspect of his interview. He showed anger and sadness for his employees and fans who were caught up in this scandal. And he appeared to be truly wounded by the implication that his investment choices were being depicted as elements of a complex conspiracy. The man lost $50 million to fraudsters, as he now realizes. And he's being questioned regarding his integrity. Moreover, he stated multiple times that he could not explain why Aspiration structured Leonard's deal in that manner, which can be interpreted as a sign of either great naivety or great cleverness, depending on your perspective.